let's talk a little bit about. Well, why don't we take this first question? And this is one thing that we really want to do with the channel is to have some back and forth with viewers.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we,
Please.
really encourage your comments and questions. So our comment here, or question, was statement starts out, "Hello, I play guitar, but I also try to compose for a band of 2 guitars, keys, bass, drums, and voice. Could you maybe talk about expanding a piece of music that is created on solo guitar and doing arranging tips and things like that?" So what are you thinking on that? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's really no different than any other instrument.
Okay.
You have every composer starts at one, except those rare people like Mozart who thought sort of en masse.
Right.
But yeah, you work out. Once you know what the tune should sound like, figure out the rhythm, figure out the tempo. If it was me, I would start with, what do I want the drummer to do? Then how do I want the bass player to fit in between the drums and my part?
Right.
If I have a second guitar, what do I want? It's just really just stacking up part by part by part.
Yeah.
And remembering that it's very easy to get clever and end up with way too much.
Right. Right.
You keep adding stuff going, wow, that's really cool. Listen, I got the, a sharp 11 over here and it slides in and it comes in. Nobody cares. Yes, keeping it simple
Right.
is going to be the tricky thing. So having really clear ideas of where you want each instrument to sit within the composition and sonically in the spectrum
Right.
of the sound as the song moves along.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. A couple of thoughts that just kind of came to mind as thinking about this. Oftentimes it kind of try to do on guitar what sort of the reverse, right? Takes an orchestral piece and try to put it into guitar. And Segovia talked a lot about that and asked composers who would compose for him and all that to make it the orchestra and allow him to like have this horn part, but of course it's a guitar, that kind of thing. Another player who's excellent solo guitarist is Martin Taylor. Familiar with him?
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so good.
Yeah, that's just he's really made, really got the solo thing really distilled into something that's really nice.
It's really nice. It's beautiful. You know it's him when you hear him.
Yeah.
But it's not, some players do when you go, oh, I know who that is, and I really don't want to hear that. Because you're kind of tired of it or offensive. Yeah, he always sounds very fresh. It's very bright.
And he keeps like a really nice steady time. Sometimes there's one little complaint about jazz guitar, solo jazz guitars. Sometimes it's kind of like maybe sometimes players try to do things that just don't. They sort of sacrifice the time element. Sometimes.
Sometimes that. They're trying to fit so many. Again, it's so many interesting, intricate chord voicings and all the little notes, but the tune suffers, because the momentum sort of stops.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So we've all heard these players where it's like beautiful, 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 and stop, noodle a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's this weird pause where things they think they're being interesting. Not very often.
Right. Yeah. So finding that balance, working in that direction. So you're saying start with the drums, find the groove, right?
Find the groove. Yeah, you have to have the idea in your head. Is this a Latin tune? Is this a bossa nova? Is this a rumba? Is this a straight up rock and roll tune? Is this a rockabilly tune?
Yeah.
What's the style? And that'll tell you a lot.
Yep.
Right there.
Yeah.
Because there is sort of traditional voicings on every style, and if you're coming up with something completely new, cool.
Yeah.
Send it to us. Want to hear it.
Yeah.
But start with a style and figure out what you want your rhythm section to do. Your drums and then bass, or bass and then drums. Either order.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then you've got something really solid to build on, and you can sort of. I think of it like Legos.
Okay.
You get this really cool bass that you've built.
Yeah.
That could be really fancy, but it's there and it's solid. Then you can kind of take bits on and off and move them around.
Yeah. And that's your foundation,
And that's
right?
that's your foundation. You're building on this nice solid thing with the bass and drums, maybe keys.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah,
maybe.
He did mention keys.
Yeah, so you can decide where you want. It's your choice. You're writing it.
Right.
There's all these rules about composition. None of them apply. Write what you want.
Yeah, if it sounds good, it's just good.
Yeah, that's it. And we've talked about this in the past. I encourage making noise on your instrument. Just sit and make noise, but I also encourage failure.
Yeah, absolutely.
You try it. If it doesn't work, you go, right, now I know what doesn't work.
Yeah, one learns more from the failures than they do
Absolutely.
their successes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that applies to almost anything, really.
Pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, except race cars.
Yeah. Don't want to fail.
It never ends well.
Yeah, skydiving, race
Skydiving,
cars,
yeah.
maybe extreme sports in general.
Yeah, but yeah, seriously, we'd love to hear what you come up with. Just go at it. Decide where you want to go. Decide what style you got in your head. And start working the parts out. Sometimes it's easier. I work with a lot of people, especially doing recording sessions, where they just hand me a chord sheet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, would you make something here?
Right.
Ask your bass player. Ask your keyboard player. Say, what do you think would sound hip here?
Yeah.
And usually you'll find something really cool that you can then take and mold and edit and
right. So sorry to interrupt.
Oh.
But yeah, so you could have some things not even really composed ahead of time, but maybe have a basic framework, and then you're kind of composing together in a rehearsal space or something like that.
It's more collaborative, which I find produces a better end result.
Right.
Always.
Bounce ideas.
Yeah. And the rest of your players, they're involved. And a bit of their personality is there, and they're comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And so all the parts can be more solid because the players are more comfortable in that part. So,
yeah. And if you have a solo guitar thing going, you probably have an idea of a bass, at least bass notes.
Right.
Right. And then the bass player might have, some really cool thing, especially if there's a drum thing going. You get your basic drum groove like you talked about. Likelihood bass player is gonna just intuit something that's kind of cool with that groove.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If especially if the bass player's got some level of experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll hear a drum groove and go, oh right, this will work. This will work. This will work.
Yeah. Maybe start with the lead sheet, some chords like you were saying. Maybe some ideas that you could just throw out, like, do you like this? And maybe they'll add something, or they'll subtract something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm actually working on a recording right now for a singer, and she asked me to do the arrangement on it. Brave girl. And what she did is she sent me about a dozen audio clips.
Okay.
And said, this is the song.
Yeah.
Kind of needs to be sorted out.
Yeah. Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
And of course, there's no sheet music, so I ran it through an AI program that pulls the melody off.
Yeah, you're telling me about that.
Yeah, exported as an XML there. I've got a MIDI file of what she played at her house.
Very cool.
400 miles away. I love technology.
Yeah. That's awesome. Let's think about this tune a little bit.
Yeah.
St. Thomas, break it apart. So we're in the key of C.
Yeah.
Real famous recording of Sonny Rollins doing this on, is it Saxophone Colossus?
I think it's on Saxophone
Is that
Colossus.
the album? Yeah. Saxophone Colossus. And so we've got a C. We've got a real pretty straightforward
It's
kind of.
2 5s.
Yeah.
They're just 2 5 2 5 2 5. If you don't know what we're talking about when we say 2 5, every note of scale has a number. Root is 1,
Right.
second is 2, so if you're in the key of C, 2 5 is going to be D G.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really 2 5s moving around different key centers.
Yeah, exactly. So when we get to the E minor, it might seem like a 3/6 in the key
Right.
of C, which you can see it that way. But yeah, it's a 2/5 going to the 2 chord of D minor, which you could think about as a secondary dominant, and that just cascades over to another 2/5.
Right.
you know?
Yeah, it just kind of rolls along,
Yeah.
which is really fun.
Yep. And this is a really great point because as far as like learning tunes, when you think about the functions, you start to really get in touch with how your lines might move or improvise through, and gets your ear sort of acclimated to certain things that come up again and again in jazz tunes. So like this 3, 6, 2, 5. It's really
Right.
two 2/5s kind of sitting next to one another.
Yeah. I think the difference in that, because sometimes I think 3 6 2 5, and sometimes it's okay. Here's a 2 5, and here's a 2 5.
Yeah.
Is where is it resolving? Are we stationary in the tune,
Yeah.
or is the melody running forward, and we need to
Yeah.
think in separate 2 5s?
Exactly. Yeah. So context.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know on the iReal app, you can actually get it to give you the Roman numeral
Yeah.
analysis and do that.
It'll do Roman numerals. I think it will do Nashville number system,
Nashville numbers. I was going to bring that up.
which is really cool.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
It is actually useful. It doesn't seem outside of Nashville, you wouldn't think it is incredibly useful.
Yeah, it really is. And when I, transcribe some chord changes for a student just on the spot, they come up with a tune. I'm usually thinking about 1 chord, 4 chord, not so
Right.
much. I'm thinking about that G that came up. What does it feel like? Does it feel like a 1, or does it feel like a 4, or
Right.
so a certain feeling about it?
Yeah.
I think, but
Exactly. And I love the purpose of the Nashville number system. I used to live in Nashville, and recording there, you might do a song 3 or 4 or 5 times in different keys
yeah, okay,
because they don't know who the singer is going to be.
okay,
And a lot of times they're basically scratch recording a song to sell, and they're hunting singers. So one singer might do it in D, another singer might do it in A flat.
right,
So what you end up doing is, with that number system, you can read it down in C, and then they'll say, okay, the next one we're going to do it at D.
yeah,
Right. You don't change charts.
yep,
It's just there.
right.
I love that.
Like how many people passed up "Achy Breaky Heart," right?
Yes. And yeah,
Ended up being a big hit.
it did. Terrible. It speaks poorly of our civilization.
So yeah. So let's see. How about our form on this one? So we kind of have a repeat of the same thing.
Yeah,
The progression.
So we've kind of got an AA, 2 4-bar phrases.
Yeah. And then we get this little kind of rundown. We got just a little movement into the 6 chord, and then a 2 going down into the 5 chord.
Yeah, which is, I love that. That's so clever.
Yeah.
It's 2 simple lines that are actually ending in a walk down themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sonny Rollins is awesome.
Yeah. And then the last part is, it's kind of a classic little
Yeah. And it's,
Get that. It just kind of runs up.
yeah, I love that. And for a bass player, that's so nice because one of my favorite licks in C is just going dropping down.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's kind of what I was thinking about, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can go up. That's got
Okay.
one feel
Yeah.
to it, or you can go.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's sort of classic bass line.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's Motown and doo-wop and
Yeah.
jazz and
Yeah.
everything.
So speaking of that, and those genres and all that, I've been checking a little bit of Carol Kay and just trying to learn a little bit more about her, and not necessarily so much her life, but her career,
Mhm.
and all that. But I know she's from kind of the West Coast.
Yeah, she is LA person.
Yeah. And I found out that she played guitar in the studio for 6 years before she ever picked up bass.
Yeah, yeah, she
Well,
was
I don't know if she ever picked up the instrument, but ever recorded
right.
professionally.
Yeah, and she became a bass player because the bass player didn't show up
Right.
on the gig she was on.
Exactly. Yep. And then she really liked the role
Mhm.
and was really good at it.
Really, really good at it.
Yeah. A lot of classic recordings,
Mhm.
Beach Boys. But she was also playing jazz in local area, jazz guitar and stuff, which
Yeah.
is just really kind of cool.
Yeah, she had lots of club dates around LA.
Mm-hmm.
But she was, if you look her up, look at her website, you can take lessons from her. You probably saw that.
Yeah.
And she has a
She has
great Facebook feed.
Yeah,
'Cause
which is what I'm hooked on.
sometimes
a
it's
little
very funny
Yeah,
because somebody will say, well, no, you couldn't have played on that. Because honestly, she played on everything.
yeah.
Right? She played on everything. Other
Oh.
guys played on little things here and there. But somebody will be, well, you didn't play on that. And she will pull up her union book and her calendar. And
Yeah.
it's like, there.
Yeah.
You know?
That's just kind of awesome to have. I mean, I guess that just kind of goes with this day and age where you can go straight to the source and she can be like, yeah, I definitely did, and here's proof.
yeah. Here's the paycheck. She kept all this stuff. And
Yeah.
and it's cool to read where she would do 2, 3, 4 sessions a day.
Yeah.
You know, they're starting 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. She's finishing at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And they're going from one studio to the next.
Yeah.
And she says, no time to fool around.
Yeah.
You walk in, plug in, and go.
Yeah.
I don't know if have you read about her just talking about the cartage companies?
No.
She had a favorite cartage. If you don't know, you can look it up. But cartage is a company you hire to move your gear
Yeah.
for you. Big in LA, New York, and Nashville, really. And she had one company. She had I think it was 3 of the exact same amp, and they were tube amps.
Okay.
And she would give them her schedule,
Okay.
so that when she went from one studio to the next, her amp would be there in the spot it's supposed to be, mic'd up and turned on.
Nice. That's awesome.
And that was her cartage company. So she could just walk in, read it, play it,
Nice.
out the door.
Nice. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I've been checking out a little bit about her picking
Yeah.
too, because she's also prides herself on being a teacher.
Yeah. I know people who studied with her.
Yeah.
Exceptional teacher.
Yeah. So I'm really big into trying to communicate to students the importance of holding the pick
Mhm.
in a way that's efficient and transfers energy. Now,
Mhm.
I've held the pick in a lot of different ways over the years, and I think there's some other valid ways, but just kind of holding that pick on the side of the finger
Mhm.
and the thumb, and the fact that she did that on bass,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
with
think is kind of cool
a
too.
little bit of foam to mute it.
Okay.
Yeah, she would put a little foam right here.
I saw her with a what kind of bass did I see?
An
I think
Ibanez.
Ibanez, yeah, and she had that.
Yeah,
I was
it's
wondering what
basically
that was.
a piece of foam with some masking tape.
Yeah.
That was kind of her. That's her rig, and it's to keep stuff from ringing too long.
Hmm.
And she said you do foam on top if you're playing with a pick. You do foam under, where
Okay.
it's just barely grazing it if you're playing with your fingers.
Okay. Cool.
I have tried it. She's exactly right. That's how you do it.
That's the impression I get about her is that she's really got great information
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and a lot of experience, obviously.
I have. I think her first book,
Mhm.
and yeah, she lets you have it. Like from the beginning, it's a workout,
Yeah.
but if you get through it, you're way better than when you started.
Yeah.
But she does not suffer fools,
Yeah.
and she really, really knows her stuff. She's in her 80s and still playing.
Yep. Yeah.
It's just, but I don't know, have you gone through her discography?
No.
Okay, I highly recommend that.
Go through the whole
Just
thing.
put aside a day.
Yeah. Because you're gonna need it.
You're gonna need it. Just the TV shows.
Mhm.
Like if you turn on
Yeah. MASH.
60s
yeah.
and 70s rerun TV, it's
Yeah.
like MASH,
Hawaii
Mannix,
5-0,
Hawaii
or-
5-0, Mission Impossible,
Yeah.
Space 1999, pretty much everything.
Hmm.
If it was on TV, she played on it.
Yeah.
And then all these movie dates and all these jingle dates. And then like Sonny and Cher, she did all their stuff.
Yeah.
Phil Spector, even though he's completely nuts, loved her. And
Okay.
Brian Wilson, she's his favorite bass player because she's on Pet Sounds and
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, go through the discography. It's yeah, set up, get some snacks, sit down, and start reading because
Yeah.
it's endless, and it's all with a pick.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Because it's taken me a while to. I really love using the pick, but I do play some classical guitar and I do some finger style things.
Mhm.
But I really find that I enjoy using the pick, and so it feels like it gives me a little license to like pick up a bass and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna play with a pick because
Right.
it just seems a little odd to me at first because I really do like finger picking on the
Mhm.
bass. But I'm just like, well, this amazing person did it, it gives full license to just kind of go for it.
Yeah.
For me to try to see through some of the biases that I might
Well,
bring to an instrument, just say, and I'm just gonna play with a pick on bass for a little while.
Do you find a different hand position is necessary? Playing a different holding position
For bass.
for bass versus guitar?
Yeah, so I try on guitar. I'm most experienced doing picking on guitar. So especially electric guitar, muting the strings just becomes incredibly important.
Yeah.
And also I find that electric guitar. So like Jocko, how Jocko played, I try to adopt that finger style as well, just to control string. So I'll use these two fingers for alternate, and then I'll kind of rest the thumb on maybe a lower string, and then these two are on the next adjacent string. So
Right.
so like thumb, pinky.
Okay, so you're
Angular?
really anchored.
Yeah, so I'm anchored. Yeah, so I try to just generally really control strings, and I just kind of hop over if I'm playing
Okay,
bass.
so it's kind of a version of the floating thumb
Yeah.
thing where you've got your hand. If I can stand here where you've got your hand like this instead of anchoring like this. You get your thumb here,
Yeah.
So it works if you practice it.
Yeah.
It is maybe not immediately obvious to most players because what you want to do is plant your thumb and dig in and push down
Yeah.
and then you're exhausted.
Yeah, I did have to work at it for quite a while to get the thumb, ring finger, and pinky all on 3 different strings.
It's funny. I've gone more the opposite direction.
Okay.
Because I learned to play coming from upright as a kid.
Yeah.
You anchor your thumb. On
Okay,
an upright, you kind of have to.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. You said it right on the side there.
Yeah, because you're in. That's a big string. You got to get moving.
Yeah.
But I really have, as my action has gotten lower, this becomes easier. But it also lets me do kind of a modified guitar technique where I can do thumb 1-2.
Okay.
I'm actually working on adding ring finger,
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
so I can.
Yeah.
So and this is, and I really started doing this because Dominic DiPiazza
Okay.
does this, and watch a video of him and get depressed. Wow. Some Hadrian Farad, he does a version of this kind of modified,
Yeah.
almost flamenco
Yeah.
thing. But it's great because, and I am really sloppy with it, but you can really get some speed.
Yeah.
It also lets you anchor your hand,
Carry your hand over there. Okay.
so you can kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's one thing I've seen Scofield do something kind of similar where he takes I almost think of it as like a reverse pick where you go thumb down and then
finger
index up.
and index up.
Yeah, so it's kind of like alternate picking, but
with your fingers.
but with your fingers. So you're doing kind of like that, almost just keeping these stable and just kind of doing.
Yeah,
it.
you're just gonna.
Yeah. So it's similar to that.
Yeah, which is like I said, watch Dominic DiPiazza do it. The guy is absolute master at that technique.
Yeah.
'Cause he mostly invented it.
Nice.
And
That's awesome.
You have to ask yourself, how does somebody's brain work that fast? Because his playing is so quick
Yeah.
and accurate and
Nice.
super melodic.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yes, I'm a big DiPiazza fanboy. That's
awesome.
fun. But yeah, it's really funny. I see guitar players doing what you're doing, anchoring themselves more, and bass players loosening up.
Yeah.
So, go figure. But it works.
Yeah, the more I've especially recorded, I've found like really the string control of that D and the G they just want to jump in there and get in the game.
they want to sing along.
Yes.
And that's why if one of the other bass players I will listen to anything he plays is Anthony Jackson, and he does finger style.
Yeah.
Then he does muted with his thumb,
Yeah.
which is more of that because he's a James Jamerson disciple, really, and he loves that
Yeah.
sort of Motown,
That's cool. Yeah.
But then he plays with a pick
Okay.
and moves it,
Moves it
play
around.
all over, but he'll do a lot of stuff playing with a pick.
Yeah.
Back here where he can mute it, and what I found is you can roll your hand back and forth
Okay.
to change the. I can
Yeah.
really play with the envelope of the note,
Yeah. Nice.
which is really a classical guitar trick
Mm-hmm.
because those guys they'll get a finger back there, they'll get their pinky back there
Yeah.
while they're playing, and will sort of control go from a very staccato to a very open,
Yeah.
ringing sound.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's a lot about getting different sounds, and the further back here, the brighter, and,
Right.
and then the warmer. But yeah, you can get all sorts of
yeah.
things going. Um,
We
Well,
should. Sorry, real
ahead.
quick. We should probably do an episode that does picking.
yeah.
Really go over it for both instruments because I could use it.
Yeah.
So, because my picking stinks.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to get better at it as well, and I'm finding like I change one thing, and then I can do this one thing better, and then I can do this other thing a little worse.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like maybe I could change techniques for
Yeah.
for certain things.
Yeah. That might make a good maybe a video for the supporters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe we can do a
Yeah.
half hour, 45 minutes on just
Yeah,
picking on the two instruments.
yeah, that's a great idea. Let's
Yeah.
do that. Cool.
So sign up, subscribe. You'll be able to see that.
Yeah. So I guess we should probably start wrapping up here
Yeah.
in a minute. Maybe we'll play one more time if that's all right with you.
Fine with me.
And we just reminder, because I gotta keep reminding myself to do this too, is like the video,
Mm-hmm.
subscribe. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers here
Yeah,
within a year. I think I'm on course.
I think you've got about 8,500 ish.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're not that far. So right down here somewhere
Yeah.
will be the button and the bell and all the stuff.
yeah.
Click on everything. Okay, just do that.
It really does help, yeah.
Yeah.
The more that you interact and do things like that, if you enjoy somebody's channel, even if it's not at this one or whatever, if it really does help. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
support your content creator, your
Yeah.
not so local content creator.
Yeah. Shall we? Now this tune was actually, it says kind of swing Latin. A lot of guys do it as kind of a
Yeah.
bossa nova.
Yeah.
You want to do it that way to take
Sure.
it out?
Sure.
Maybe a little slower.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds
Yeah, I
good.
can.
Right. Nice. Great playing, John.
Always.
All right. Well, we'll see you all in the next one or the near future, and see y'all later. Have a great day, great practice session.
Yeah. See y'all.